Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White. I'm Adolph Mongo. Uh, Good morning, Vanessa Moss, attorney and political consultant. Vanessa Moss.
Good morning, Adolph. Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Alan, although he's not here today. And good morning to all of our Detroit and Black and White viewers.
Well, Alan is at the synagogue. You know, uh, uh, Yatsif, I think I pronounced it right. The anniversary of his mother's death in 2011. She was 88, survivor of Auschwitz. Uh, Alan told me that the first time that his mother saw anybody black was when the soldiers liberated the camp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I had to look that up. They helped liberate several camps.
Wow.
And I tell you, so we wish Alan well, and he'll be back next week. Jim Nardone, former police chief, and uh, law enforcement expert. He's sitting in for Alan today. Good morning, Jim.
Thank you. Big shoes to fill this morning. I'm going to try and do Alan proud. He's a true pro.
Well, we here at McShane's. They're getting ready to open up and stuff. McShane's in Corktown, great place, great drinks. I can tell you that, and the food is good.
Okay.
Okay, let's start with you, ladies first.
Oh, ladies first.
Okay, your outrage of the week, Vanessa.
It should have been Queen first because I'm the
Okay.
only queen sitting
Queen
here.
is dead.
Queen, no, this queen is very much alive.
Okay.
But anyway, my outrage has to do with the submarine and how people are so judgmental. You have people talking about, they pay $250,000. First of all, $250,000 to them is probably like $2.50. Number one. Number two, to be critical of them, they shouldn't have done it. They've done these tours before, number one. But number two, we have to all remember that we take chances every single day. If you go and catch a flight, you are taking a chance. If you go and catch a bus, you are taking a chance. We take those kind of risks every single day, every moment of the day. So my outrage is, how dare you be judgmental because people had the means. They want to take this tour. Unfortunately, they met their death. You've had people talk about, well, it was experimental. They should have tested it more, that kind of thing. Listen, again, accidents happen every single day. And all of us we go parasailing. Okay. Like I said, we get on the plane, we catch the bus, we go, some of us go racing in vehicles.
What's so fascinating about going 3 miles down deep to see the wreck of the Titanic?
That's what's fascinating about it.
See anything?
But why would you be so judgmental, though?
Because you know what?
People hating on people because they have a means to do something like that. That's ridiculous. That's outrageous to me.
Play what they say.
I don't know.
You got to pay the piper.
I don't know.
Well,
but
Jim, you're outraged.
My outrage is with the FBI, the way that people are treating the FBI. The FBI is a great organization. Those men and women take an oath to defend the Constitution. So when they follow through and cut a deal with Hunter Biden, they're good if you're a Republican and bad if you're a Democrat. We need to leave the FBI and the federal law enforcement alone. I have to tell you that when I was a police chief, there was nobody better than those federal units. We had a barricaded gunman one time, and I thought about the gentleman from the ATF that lived in Trenton. He said, "What do you need? I'll send you a robot." So he sent us a robot from the ATF to go in the house. Unfortunately, the shooter was already deceased, but those are great. They're great help to everybody.
So which FBI are you talking about? Your grandfather FBI, your father FBI, or your FBI?
So what's outrageous to me is this: the same group of people who not only dogged out Black lives, but jumped on this bandwagon about defunding the police. How dare you support, these politicians, they're talking about defunding the police, but you want to defund the FBI. You want to jump on the FBI because they're doing their job.
And then you
Now-
want to kill the Capitol police and insurrection, and you beat up the police with American and Nazi flags and Confederate flags. Man,
I don't blame you for being outraged.
That's a good outrage, Jim.
Yep.
That's a good. My outrage is
Oh
this
Lord.
march. Is it? Oh, is it today? The 60th anniversary of the march down Woodward, when Dr. Martin Luther King delivered really the first "I Had a Dream" speech. Great. But what was not so great is that now the NAACP want us to believe, oh, we the one put it together and we doing the 60th anniversary. Those assholes was against the march in 1963. They tried to get Mayor Jerry Kavanaugh to not let them have it, and it took some radicals, Reverend Clegg, C.L. Franklin, James Del Rio, to push this thing through. The NAACP is full of shit. They try to, now they want to be out front and say, we got to remember. Stop all the BS. We need more than marches to stop the crime, to bring in some jobs. Now, Mike Duggan is putting a statue out on Woodward of King. He's at a park named after Muhammad Ali. How many shit we gonna keep naming people after? We need some real leadership in this city.
Listen,
and we don't have it.
I'm going to take the opposite approach. Listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with symbolism. The march symbolized what happened 60 years ago, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a statue of Dr. King or anything like that. I think the real issue is, I think the real issue is, I hear people make this criticism about these organizations that don't do anything. I think the real issue is they're not out front letting people know exactly what it is that they're doing. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're not doing anything. I'm sure that they are. What they're doing, I don't know, because
you don't know.
they have not. No, I know.
Because they ain't doing shit.
You can't say that. That's just like you saying a couple of weeks ago that people have these political positions and they don't do anything. That's not true. That is absolutely not true.
They got a bank account.
Whatever,
So you
Mr.
don't
Mongo.
visit Hamtramck to see Pope John Paul II? You
Listen,
don't think that statue?
Listen. You don't even want to know what I think of the Pope. But anyway,
you're gonna be like, wait a minute.
Hamtramck really, he screwed up. He didn't want the pride flag, but they got him standing next to a Black Liberation flag celebrating Juneteenth. You can't have it both ways. We hear an echo. Okay. You know, this technology. Okay.
I can't believe you can hear. I thought you had some hearing. Let me stop.
Right.
How many Catholics are locked up in Hamtramck?
Nah. Well, you know.
He doesn't. No, he say none. That may not necessarily. There's a few, I'm sure.
The population have moved east. They cross 8 Mile Road, Warren, Sterling Heights, etc. You know, like I told a client one time, they had a Polish last name. I said, why don't you use your maiden name? I said, because if you ran in Macomb County, you win. You know, you have to be realistic of where the population is moving to. At one time, Black Bottom was predominantly Jewish. Then blacks, you know, demographics change.
So the Pope didn't stop the tornado up there in Hamtramck.
Well, you can't, but no, but you can't. You can't wipe out the history because of a different group.
Exactly. So there's nothing wrong with the statue of Dr. King. There's nothing wrong with the name of a park.
It's when they do it. It's like naming a damn post office on Grand River, Rosa Park. God, man, poor Rosa Park. That's all she get is a bus terminal. It's dirty, nasty. Now she getting a damn post office that. This is what our two Congress people do. what buildings that they name in Detroit. 'Cause
I
they
think
doing
symbolism
a
is
damn
very
thing.
important,
Yeah, right.
and it points to the
Well, let's
history.
name the public toilets after there.
Have you seen
That's a
the shows,
symbolism.
some of the news shows when they ask people who won World War II and who did we fight in the Civil War, and none of these people have any idea. So the symbolism, it may not be enough, but it's better
something.
than
Yes.
people have heard the name Rosa Parks, right?
Well, I
Then-
love Rosa
People have
Parks.
heard
I
the
met
name of
Rosa
Dr.
Parks.
Martin Luther King. People have know the name of Joe Louis. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it,
You
and
know
I
what's wrong with
definitely,
it? No,
I
it's not.
definitely
You know
don't
what's
think there's
not?
anything wrong with the march
It's like,
today.
It's like Mike Duggan. He leading the charge. Damn. Yeah, right. Listen, I'm not even gonna talk about it. That's my outrage. I can be outraged.
You can.
And gonna stay outraged.
You can be outraged.
so don't
You
like
always
the
take
fifth.
the opposite. Yeah, you take the
Wait a
opposite.
minute. Wait the next week. Wait the next week. We got the next presidential spoiler, because I think, you know what, this race between, I think it's gonna be Trump and Grandpa Joe Biden. You got Cornel West jumped into the fray.
Tim Scott.
Tim Scott is not even gonna get a nomination.
But he's jumped into the race. I think that he deserves the conversation. But
you're gonna get him
let
on?
next. Well, we can
Get
try.
Uncle Remus
We can
on?
try. Don't
You gonna get
don't
Uncle
say anything
Remus?
like
He
that. But
is. He's Uncle Remus.
listen, this
Uncle
show.
Ben was his grandfather.
This show is hot. It's spicy, and it's only
Cornel
going to get
West is-
spicier.
Cornel West is-
Dr.
I like-
West will be here next
I like,
week.
I like the professor. You know, he's not scared to go after folks and stuff. Harvard did him wrong. They wouldn't give him tenure. They wouldn't
No,
give him
if you
tenure,
read the
man.
whole story, I don't know.
I read
Whatever
the whole
position you
story.
take.
Well, listen, they done gave lesser people tenure. You know how that game is played.
Were you up for tenure?
They would never give me tenure.
Here's the interesting part about Dr. West. He's going after some of the Trump supporters, and I think he's going to pick some of the Trump supporters up. He's going to pick up some of the Trump
I
supporters.
think so
Man,
too.
you
Yeah,
need-
I think you're
Jim,
absolutely
Jim,
correct.
You know what you need to do? Get a truck and help pick up some of those Trump supporters and lock them up. That's
Lord
what we
have
gotta
mercy.
do. But we're gonna have him, and you know it's gonna be a hot show.
Yep.
And we're gonna promote it. Where can our
Oh,
listeners,
Our
catch us?
viewers, we're not on the radio anymore. Our viewers, they looking at us. No, they're looking at us.
Oh,
How do you think you're on the radio and you drop so many F-bombs and use so much profanity? You know we're not on the radio. But at any rate, if you're watching this show, we want you to like, subscribe, and share. And next week, we will be promoting the show online. We also have a phone number. I forgot the phone number, but we want people to call in and to come in. We have a live audience. We want people to be able to come in. If you want to come in and share your outrage and, you know,
we like
heckle this guy right here, you know, boo this guy like they did Governor Christie the other day when he went and spoke to a faith group that were full of Trumps. If y'all want to come and boo this guy, you guys can.
Okay, Henry, we're gonna play our commercial.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabree. There are payment plans available to help save your property. Visit our website at treasurer.waynecounty.com or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com for further information. We're here to help. I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabree. There are payment plans.
Okay. Well, Jim, what's going on downriver?
Well, this is the weekend of the Trenton Street Fair, so there's a lot of activity down there. It's I was on 4th Street last night, and they're having a car, I guess, what do they call that? An event where all the classic cars drive up and down 4th Street.
What is like the
Woodward Cruise.
Dream Cruise?
There were a lot of people out there last night, 7, 8 o'clock at night. I guess it goes all weekend.
What's happening with our favorite restaurant, Ramsey's? They're not blocking his view.
No, I haven't been in there in a couple of weeks. I'm sure he's wondering where we've been. So
Ain't no question about it. I tell you, there's a lot going on in political wise. Obama, it's about time he got involved in the he got involved in the what is it? The Democratic primary. He talked about the black Republicans and the minority Republicans and how they really don't really talk about race. Let's see a video.
Barack Obama taking on Republican presidential candidates for trying to downplay racial inequality in the United States. The former president calling on Republicans to present, quote, an honest accounting of our past and our present.
If somebody's not proposing, not both acknowledging and proposing elements that say, no, we can't just ignore all that and pretend as if everything's equal and fair. We actually have to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. If they're not doing that, then I think people are rightly skeptical. There may come a time where there's somebody in the Republican Party that is more serious about actually addressing some of the deep inequality that still exists in our society that tracks race and is a consequence of our racial history. And if that happens, I think that would be fantastic. I haven't yet seen it.
That was the former president responding in an interview with David Axelrod in the Axe Files to a question about comments Republican presidential candidate Senator Tim Scott has made a core part of his campaign. He said this on The View recently.
One of the reasons why I'm on the show is because of the comments that were made, frankly, on this show, that the only way for a young African-American kid to be successful in this country is to be the exception and not the rule. That is a dangerous, offensive, disgusting message to send to our young people today, that the only way to succeed is by being the exception. I will tell you that if my life is the exception, I can't imagine.
But it is.
But it's not, actually.
Well, you know what?
Barack Obama taking on Republicans.
About the exception, but I do agree with the former president that some of these black Republicans, in order to get accepted by the Republican Party, it's like they gotta not like themselves. They gotta hate themselves. Clarence Thomas sit up there and say, "Oh, my sister, I have a sister. All she does is wait for a welfare check," but yet he let a billionaire buy his mama's house, and he let a billionaire take him on trips. He let a billionaire give him money, whatever, and then want to recuse himself from any case that this billionaire company is involved. But Tim Scott saying there's no racism in America is full of crap.
He's wrong. It should not be. Racial equality should not be a political party issue. That's offensive to me. We should all stand for the same thing. We should not be separating people by race. The union should not be separating people by party. We need to work together.
But you know what? In a perfect world, Jim, I would say yes. But when I was just recently in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, beautiful state capital, etc. But they got statues of Strom Thurmond, Ben Tillman, people that advocated lynching black folks and stuff. And I know this is all part of South Carolina's history, but damn, to have to look at that shit every day, man, it was like when I was in Frederick, Maryland, as a young reporter, and I had to cover the courts in Frederick County. I went to the courthouse, and there's a statue of Roger B. Taney, Supreme Court Justice, who wrote the majority opinion and Dred Scott that black people wasn't human beings. They had no rights that any white person had to respect. And I say, damn. Now, this is early 1980. I said, somebody to tear that statue down. I wrote this article. I got death threats. I got the police was patrolling, thinking that somebody was going to pull the statue down. And today, fast forward 35 years later, they still talking about taking down these statues or whatever. But while I agree with Tim Scott that his life is, he worked hard to get where he had to get. But to say America is no racism, no institutional racism, He's full of it,
It's
and I agree
inaccurate,
with
for sure.
and I agree with Obama. And then I disagreed when the ex-president, when he became president, that he didn't address some of this stuff. Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword.
He also spoke on intolerance this week and said that his party, the Democratic Party, are not as tolerant as they were when he was in office. And I think there's that on both sides. I think the Republicans are less tolerant. We have to listen to other people's opinions. Nobody cares what anybody else thinks. We hate people that disagree with us. How did this country turn into that?
It's always been that way.
Yeah.
It's always been that way. It's not, this country didn't turn into that. That's what this country is. And if you don't, if you don't agree with me, if you don't, well, then you know what? I don't want to hear what you have to say or anything like that. I personally, when you talk about tolerate, that means we're just putting up with it. To me, that's just acting. It's just a show. So it's not.
It takes
I
effort
think
to tolerate.
exactly. I think that, and so for the person who said it, I'm like, you couldn't have used a better word. But if that's how you want people to play, you want people to play charades, you want people to act. I want to know who you are, what you are, where you are, so I can deal with it. I can confront it. We can agree to disagree, right? We can agree that I don't like you, but that's okay. It's okay, because this is America. We're supposed to be in the land of the free. So I could dislike you. I could say what I want to say, and I don't have to tolerate you. Period.
Well, why do we?
And that's okay.
Why do we continue to put people in different categories? And my question to you, Vanessa, do you think it's worse today, or do you think it's the same? I think you're saying it's the same as it's always been.
As far as I'm concerned, it's the same as it's always been. I mean, I think they just move. I think we just move the marbles a bit, but I think it's the same that it's always been. The same issues that they talked about 60 years ago at the march are the same issues that they're talking about today. Inequality, unemployment, racism, no health care. It's the same thing. The same thing.
Did you know that that march on Washington in 1963 wasn't the first proposed march? They was going to march on Washington in 1941 if the government didn't desegregate those federal jobs. Now, everybody was getting hired, but black workers. And A. Philip Randolph, who went from being a radical and become a conservative old man, threatened to march on Washington, bring 100,000 black people to D.C., and the government, Franklin Roosevelt, said, okay, I signed this order. Black people can work in the plants and get some federal jobs, etc. So, there's a time when to march, there's a time to threaten to march, but it's been the same barriers that we've been facing since day one, since we came into this country. We've been put in a caste system. That's why Nikki Haley, she understands it, because her background, that's where she comes from. And when she says, oh, there's no racism, my parents had to work hard and hard. I say, how many people they stepped on in India to get over here?
You have the resources. It's a little different situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hate to hear when people say, oh, I came to this country with a quarter in my pocket. That's bullshit. People come here, and that's good. You got a skill. You know what? They need we need those skills. We need engineers. We need doctors, nurses. We got a nursing shortage.
Are you talking about Sri Tanadar? He came over with a Snickers bar and $12.
Oh, Lord,
right.
have mercy.
That's right.
Is that who you're referring to?
Well, we want to put him in there if we can, But people don't want to talk about that. Well, the Democrats won't talk about race. The Republicans got an agenda, ban the books, revisionist history. According to Ron DeSantis, there was no Rosewood massacre. They didn't burn down the town. Lynchings didn't happen. There was no segregated waiting rooms and all this other stuff.
So let me ask you this: Is it that he is more of? Do you think that it's really? Listen, we don't need to hear about that stuff because America is different than how it was before. And we don't want people to be offended about what race they were born into. Our country is bigger than that. I'm asking the question, is that really his message, or is it really, look, we don't want people to talk about that at all because it didn't exist.
Right. It's a
Or
little
it's
bit
an
of
unfair.
both. It's a little bit of both.
See,
It's a little bit of both.
exactly. And I think you're right. I think it's a little bit of both. But when you look at it and when you listen, people paint it all one way. It's just this way. And I think
now they have found another word, woke. You know
they don't even know what that means.
No, they should.
Because if you poll the people here in this establishment, and everybody will have a definition of what woke is. But we know that it's a dog whistle. When you say woke, they're talking about black folks, black history, black activists, black on Detroit in black and white.
You don't have to say nigga anymore. Say woke.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's like Detroit. I got in trouble one time on Channel 4 Flashpoint. Because
you got in trouble.
I don't believe that.
They was talking. When I say got in trouble, it was controversial. I was debating MLL Rick, and he gonna talk about, oh, you used to be the biggest critic of Kwame. Now you working with him and stuff. I said, well, he hired me, just like you go hire ex-prosecutor to be your defense attorney,
right?
And he was like, oh, it's about the money. I said, why is it always about the money? I said, you know what? I said, what do I supposed to be for free? But then this is what I said, because they talked about people in Detroit. I said, come on, say what you really, when you say Detroit, what are you really saying? Nigga.
But this is the thing. Why is it when it comes to certain people, capitalism is a bad thing?
Right.
Isn't that what this country was built on? How dare you be so hypocritical? Listen, this person came to me. This is what I do for a living. They hired me and I'm doing it. Now you mad because you don't like this person. You mad because I'm doing work and I'm earning my income. Get the freak out of here with that nonsense.
I represented Democrats, Republicans, and stuff.
Indian chiefs.
Yeah.
But aren't all politicians separating us? Aren't they putting us all into categories? I'll start with that. Okay. So you're suggesting, I think, that the Republicans are putting us in categories. My question is, aren't the Democrats doing the exact same thing in a lot of instances? Aren't they separating? Aren't they, instead of focusing on fixing it, they're focusing on the problem and not the solution?
Well,
I think that, Jim, that you're absolutely correct. I think it's on both sides. But because the Democratic Party is a big tent, they don't want to focus on that. But I think you're absolutely correct. Just because you're, for instance, because you're a Democrat, that doesn't mean that you don't believe in physical responsibility, right?
Hold that thought. We're going to take another break.
I said physical.
Treasure.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabree. There are payment plans available to help save your property. Visit our website at treasurer.waynecounty.com or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com for further information. We're here to help. I'm Wayne County Treasurer.
We got Einstein working the board, Henry Mayer. And if you have to take a look at him, you know he's mad. You keep up the good work. We were talking about the Democrat and the Republican Party. Joe Biden, as I have to admit, has done a fairly good job as president. He's a smart guy. He knows how to play both sides of the fence.
He's Tommy boy.
But he's running. He 80. Trump is deranged. He almost 80. So we got two grandpas running against each other. I think people don't want to see that.
Have you seen some of the older videos of Joe Biden, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, and how lucid and intelligent and quick-witted he is compared to
God save the Queen,
not being able to walk across the. And I feel for him. We elected him. It's not his fault. That's what people.
Don't they say being the president ages, folks?
Yeah, that's what they say.
He started
He
They
gonna
up
be
all night.
100. He gonna be 190 years old. God, man, he already aged. That's unbelievable. He's like Dorian Gray, the
Right,
portrait of
right.
Dorian
The portrait
Gray.
of Dorian Gray.
You go in his closet, you see the real Joe Biden. They fixing him up. The rumor out there that he has a Hollywood makeup artist that take about 2 hours to make him even look like he a young 80 years old.
his face looks good. It's just everything else.
Now Joe Biden's all right. He's on. Okay. Okay, let's bring on our first guest. Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Here's
All
the
right.
treasure of Wayne County,
Mongo.
Eric Sabree. How you doing, Eric?
All right, doing good. Adolph, how are you today?
Good
Doing
morning.
fine. You
Good
joined here today with Vanessa Moss and Jim Nardone.
We've met.
All right, how you doing?
Hey,
So what's going on in the treasurer's office?
Well, we have the Michigan Homeowner Assistance Fund, which is federal relief money that's still available to help taxpayers who are behind on their taxes. This money is a grant that it's going to run out soon. Probably, I'd say within the next 3 to 6 months, it's going to run out.
oh wow.
So we have already helped 5,100 people to a tune of $20 million get rid of all of their delinquent taxes. And here's how you can be eligible for this program. If you live in the house and you own the house, you're an owner occupant, you have had some type of difficulty or hardship because of COVID, and you don't have to have contracted COVID yourself, but you could have had an increase in your income, an increase in expenses, maybe taking care of a sick relative, whatever hardship you've had since 2020, January 2020, you have to make within 150% of the area median income, which in Wayne County is about $92,000 a year for a family of two. So a lot of people are eligible for this. We went to court this year to ask Judge Fassard, Third Circuit Chief Judge, to allow any owner occupant of residential property to have another year extension so they would not get foreclosed in order to give them time to apply for these funds. So she granted that. And so we have like 3,100 people that would have been foreclosed this year, 3,100. But because of the money that's available, and the court said, well, we'll give them time. And I said, let's give them time to apply, because if they're eligible, then they won't get foreclosed. So that's what we're doing. But the people have to apply for it. They have to take advantage of it, because if they don't, next year, if they don't have the money, they're going to lose their property. And that's why we're really pushing it really hard. And we hope that people will pay attention and take advantage of it.
Well, go ahead.
So, Eric,
Yes.
as the Wayne County Treasurer, I applaud you for all that your office is doing in trying to keep people in their homes.
Yes, thank you.
My question is, with all the efforts that you've put forth at the treasurer's office, how has the response been? In other words, is the word really getting out? I know we have we have your commercial every week on this show, but how is the word getting out? Because when we go out in the community and talk to people, people are like, "Oh, I've never heard of that before. What are you talking about?"
Well, here's what we did, and some of the high the zip codes that have a high foreclosure rates, and as well as some of the other cities in Wayne County, such as Ecorse, Highland Park, Inkster, and I think we did River Rouge too. We have these community meetings, and we get the city involved, so that we have the Wayne Metro come out, help the people apply right on the spot. That worked pretty well for us this year. Here's the interesting thing about the message getting out, which I don't really believe that the message is not getting out, because here's what happens. As soon as the deadline passes and people lose their property, they call you every day.
Right.
So how do they know that they lost it all of a sudden when you didn't know anything for the last 3 years? We've been contacting them 3 times a year, at least by mail, 3 times a year on about their delinquency. And we have all the advertising going on, TV, radio, billboards. So I don't know how they didn't know they didn't contact us all this time, and all of a sudden when they lose the property, they're calling us every day. I want to get my property back. I want to get my property back. So I don't really think it's a fact that the word is not getting out. I think either people just don't have the money, or they just procrastinating. But there's always some that don't know, and I agree that you can't say we're 100% of doing everything. So there's some people that actually don't know. But we put flyers in the barbershop, beauty shops, gas stations, grocery stores. We go all over the community, anywhere people go. So we say everybody's gonna go get some gas. Everybody's gonna go to the grocery store. Everybody's gonna go get their hair done and get their hair cut. So we try to get to the places where the people go to church, all of those things. And we're gonna miss some people, but I think the people know more than you think, because as soon as they lose their property, they're calling us every single day.
Right.
And that's a fact.
Well, people when they don't have the money and stuff, or some people just think that it's just gonna go away. When you get a bill in the mail, you don't open it, but you still gotta pay it.
Yeah, it's just there's a combination of things. Some people are sick. Some people can't deal with it because they have other issues, going on. All of that is factors into this too, and so
Eric, if this money is not used in the next, you said, is it the next year or the next 6 months?
I just estimate between 3 and 6 months. I don't know. Whenever they run out, when they get close to running out, the state administrator who's administering the program, they're going to just shut down the applications once they see that the money's getting close to the end. Then they want to make sure that everybody that's applied will get taken care of. So when it gets close, they're gonna start shutting the applications down. Yeah.
So is the application process cumbersome?
No, it's pretty simple. But you know what? We have you can dial 211 and get assistance, or you can call Wayne Metro at 313-388-9799. That's 388-9799. They'll walk you right through the application, help you.
We want you to repeat it again because we're going to put it on the screen, Eric.
Okay.
Repeat it again and
it's
talk slowly.
All right. All right. First, just 211 is one you can dial. 211. That's the state number. You can call us 211 and say, I want to apply for MIHAF. It's the Michigan Homeowner Assistance Fund. It's abbreviated MIHAF. MIHAF. And also, you can dial the number to Wayne Metro, who's assisting with the application process, and that's 313-388-9799. And they've been very helpful. They actually come out to a lot of the community meetings with us and help people apply. I'll give you an example why it's important to get assistance sometimes in applying. Was a senior in Highland Park, and we went to the meeting. She came to us. She said, I'm 85 years old. She was crying. She said, I'm losing my property. So, well, how would you lose your property? You should be eligible for MIHAF. I applied for MIHAF, and they denied me. I said, well, why? Why did they deny you? Well, they asked me if I had COVID, and I told them no, I never had COVID. Well, see, what she misunderstood, the question was, did you have a difficulty related to COVID? So she said, no, I didn't have. She thought they said, did you have COVID? So when she said no, they automatically said, oh, you don't qualify. So it's a lot of times people have to get help on the application process because they misunderstand the question, and the questioner may not even go a little further than they to find out what's going on. So that's why it's important for people to get help sometimes in these applications.
Right.
They don't understand the question, or they miscommunicate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Jim, you got.
Well, I appreciate all the work you're doing downriver. As a Trenton guy, River Rouge and Ecorse, they're almost like a different area. It's not like, a lot of those people are familiar with the county process, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm in touch a lot with Jim Wagner, your former city manager, and we stay in touch. And Trenton doesn't have a real problem. Actually, Wayne County as a whole doesn't have a foreclosure issue. It's just a few cities that really are in trouble. Sure. And we're working hard. Yeah, working hard to help reduce those.
Well, you're doing a good job to get the message out there. There's no question that people can't say I ain't heard of Eric Sabree. They know who you are.
We even have some other things that are in the works, and some more technology that's going to help us get the message out even better. people, they're using this digital technology, targeting marketing, and we're looking at that, and it's not as expensive either as what we've been doing. So I think it's gonna help us a lot next year with.
And you're using it. When do you next community meeting, whether it's by Zoom or in person?
We have the next Ask the Treasurers in August, the third Wednesday of August. I don't have the date with me, but it's the third Wednesday of August at 6 o'clock. We didn't have any in June and July, but for the summertime, we just we took a break from the Ask the Treasurer. But August, we starting back up. We do that every month. And in March, we do it every week in March because it's getting close to the deadline. But,
I thought I saw you the other day on TV at the dedication of the Muhammad Ali Park. Was that?
Oh
true?
yeah, I was there.
Yeah, you had on a different hat. What do you think of that park?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a big difference. What it was abandoned. It was a city park at one time. It was a Mark Twain Belton Park. It was abandoned, and the mosque there, the Islamic Center of Detroit, went to the city and said, "Look, we want to get the land and develop a nice park." So they got the permission from the city to get the land, got it developed. They got money from the ambassador of Qatar. He donated I don't know how much it was, a couple $100,000 I think, to get the park renovated, put the walking track, the soccer field, basketball courts, swing sets for the kids, slides. It's real nice. There's barbecue pits over there too. So it's a nice park. So the government of Qatar came up with the money, and the city is going to be maintaining the park, and it's a city park. It's now a city park. So that's
good. Well, we're going to have you back on as usual. You got great programs, and in closing, how do our viewers get a hold of someone in your office?
Okay, you can reach us by calling 313-224-5990. That's 313-224-5990. And you can also email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Also, it's time people can get into payment agreements with our office anytime now, and so that they can put down like 10% down and get into an agreement for the 2020 2023 year that we have. So that's important. And also, one more thing I want to mention is that if your income is very low and you could be eligible for an exemption, you can still apply to your local assessor's office to see if you're eligible for an exemption. Because if you're eligible for an exemption, you may be able to get your tax debt reduced significantly or completely, depending on if you live in the city of Detroit, you can almost eliminate it completely because the Dan Gilbert Foundation is helping out with people who become exempt. They're paying off the balance. So 11,000 people have already taken advantage of that and have avoided foreclosure. So that's important.
Thank you, Eric.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Wayne County Treasurer. Hopefully you come back next month and give us an update on what's going on.
Yeah, hopefully. I do want to ask you about the foreclosures, but we didn't get he's kicking you off. Well, let me ask you, the foreclosures in Wayne County, are the numbers up? Are they down?
They're about the same as they were last year. But I'll tell you though, the numbers are lower than they would have been had we not gone and removed all the residential homeowners, the owner-occupied properties, who could be eligible for the homeowner assistance fund. So the number is lower. We worked hard to get it down, but there's a number of people, almost 3,000 people, that could have been foreclosed because they didn't have the taxes paid. They weren't in the payment agreement. So we have to be, the number is what it is, but it would be much higher had we not gone to court and made the effort to get people in these programs.
Okay. Thank you, Eric.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Thank you.
You too. And
Take care.
Have a great weekend. And let's go to our commercial, and then we come back with our next guest, radio personality and author Frankie Darcell.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabree. There are payment plans available to help save your property. Visit our website at treasurer.waynecounty.com or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com for further information. We're here to help.
Ooh.
There she is.
Frankie Darcell.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Stay
morning.
there. You're here. You're here. You're here. I'm glad to be back.
Jim Nardone, Vanessa Moss, and I'm Adolph Mongo.
Good morning, Queen.
Good morning. Back at you 2 times, Queen. Thank you so much. It is good to be here. Good morning to each
You
of
know,
you.
the last time we talked, we had some technical issues, and you said, I got to do a do-over. Okay.
Listen, I think
I
you
thought
guys
it was
have,
great.
Yeah.
So here we are.
So first of all, you guys have some of the most compelling conversation. I was like, we got to do this again. And Vanessa, everybody was just so wonderful, and the questions were so great. I was like, Adolph, we got to come back and do this again. So I'm glad. Thank you for having me back.
Well, you know, you in Philly, how in the hell did they open that I-95 so quick?
Listen, it's called cooperative engagement, right? So we know when groups of individuals get together, particularly when you're talking about government agencies, and you find $25 to $30 million, you could get a bridge redone in 12 days. Do you hear me? They got this done in 12 days. From 12 days from union collaborations to, a number of the different contractors and the like, city government, regional government, state government, and the federal government. The governor here, Shapiro, talked about that on yesterday, of just a number of agencies that all came together, worked collectively to get it done. They worked around the clock, 12-hour shifts, 12 days they were able to rebuild it. I say this not as a joke, but it's still standing today. So obviously they did an amazing job.
Right.
Oh, man. I guess when it's an election year and you got the Democrats, right. I saw your senator, the one that's a manic depressor. Listen. Yeah. I said they got this thing open, and when they first made a time of finishing it and opening, they said it was going to be months.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. It was going to go up.
Right.
It was going to affect everybody in the country because 95 is a major route.
Right.
Absolutely. It is the connector between New York South, 95 connector between New York, all things South. So you're talking about to Philadelphia, to Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and the like. But they got it done. And for me, I think, I said this on my show yesterday afternoon and talking about it today as well. A man lost his life. I don't know what, they said that it appeared that he where he has taken that route a number of different times. He was actually delivering gasoline, and it looked like, or it appeared at the time, that he had taken the curb a little bit too early. I don't think I heard enough of mentioning that man, who was a father of 3, married for quite some time, he
got lost in the shuffle.
He got lost in the shuffle. And I just wanted to acknowledge to his family that a man in the midst of building this bridge and folks giving high fives, I'm not mad at that. There's a place for that. But a man lost his life as well. And with all of the talking about completion of the bridge, I think that he should have been acknowledged as well because, he lost his life. I just wanted to say that,
And also, I've been following all these shootings of kids around the country. And I saw where a 12-year-old got shot in Philly. Yeah. A 6-year-old shot his mother in the back. A 2-year-old, a pregnant mother, killed her. How are they dealing with it in Philly? I know people still talking about lock your guns up, et cetera. And these kids find a way to get to the gun.
Yeah. Adolph, I would say to you that is there an issue? Absolutely. There's an issue in Philadelphia. I'd like to think of it even broader than that. because the stories I hear across the country, and including in the city of Detroit that I love, a city that I've grown to love, in Philadelphia and Trenton. I'm hearing the cities out of Baltimore and the crime rate out of Baltimore, and what's happening in Wilmington, which is right up the street. It is a issue really with our young men. You know, when we talk about it, people want to talk about it being a Black issue. I think it's a young male issue between 13 to 30, 35 years old that are getting their access to these guns. You know, if it's a mass shooting, it might be a little white guy. If it's an inner city shooting, it's a little Black guy. The rate that these young men are dealing with, I think, trauma, tragedy is an epidemic. And there are people here in the city of Philadelphia that is saying that at this point, it needs to be a health concern. It needs to be one of those issues relative to mental health as a mental health emergency. It's crazy.
It sure has. And it seemed like the Juneteenth celebrations, it was like a conspiracy. 10 shot here, 10 shot there, 8 shot here. It's like, damn, they can't even celebrate. And somebody got to shoot up the celebration.
Right.
Yeah, and you know me, Adolph. You and I have been in this game for a very, very, very long time, and it's disappointing to hear that. And we've heard, and I'm not going to minimize the fact that you would think communities, the second year that the federal government had said that Juneteenth is a national celebration, that people would behave better.
Right.
You would hope that people would behave better, and that this would be the day that you gave some semblance to the history and the struggle of African Americans in this country. Of course, that didn't happen. There were hundreds of thousands of Juneteenth celebrations around the country where people got along peacefully and did extremely well. And then you had 3 or 4 incidents that did occur. So it's like 1% of them. Of course, that's what we're going to talk about. But I like to also acknowledge, as we talk about the 3 incidents around the country that happened, the hundreds of thousands of incidents, events that occurred where nothing happened.
Right.
Jim, how do we keep guns out of celebrations and stuff?
Can't.
You said there's a celebration down in Trenton now. How do you stop people from bringing a gun on to the premises?
I don't think you can.
Right.
You can't. I just think it's impossible to stop it. I think there's 400 million guns in this country. And we just need to be more aware. We just need to work together to prevent violence. We need to work with people instead of, there is no way we're going to stop the guns at this point. So we need to work with people to become better people, I guess, for lack of a better term.
So let me say this. I'm just going to throw this out here. When you say that, we need to do better, we need to stem the violence, this country was founded on violence. Our people, our forefathers were brought to this country under violence. The trauma of violence goes from one generation to the next. I don't know if that's the answer. If trying to have gun control, if that's the answer, I don't know if that's the answer.
It's like domestic violence. It's bred in families, right?
Absolutely. And it's bred in this country. That's the reality. So when you talk about what happened on Juneteenth and all these shootings, as far as Juneteenth is concerned, for people, it was just another day.
And that's unfortunate. What do you tell your young viewers, listeners?
Yeah. The needle has moved in terms of what people believe is right and wrong. Vanessa, you're an attorney by trade. There is a right and there is a wrong. I think the way that we're able to communicate with each other vis-a-vis social media, which most people spend more time on each day than with any other medium, there are no boundaries. So people can say what they want to say, they can do what they want to do, and they've taken that and brought it into our reality. I would agree with Jim. This is a character and integrity issue. You can't govern the way you should. Our laws govern to how people behave. but laws don't govern you in how to behave, right? So, getting ready to buy a condo, they want to know everything about me. I've got to give them this, and this. You don't need anybody's permission to be a parent and raise a child. You can have as many as you like. So when we talk about character and integrity, the right to life in every possible way, people just don't put the value of life, and our younger people, the value of life, is just not as important as it was once upon a time. We hear about the shootings and the crime, a kid was killed, but then by the fifth or sixth kid, you're like, oh, okay, another kid was shot and killed. That's terrible, but we move on. This is a character issue. This is a at-home issue. This is a parent issue. When you're talking about 13-year-olds and 11-year-olds out here carjacking people, that's crazy. And if we can get people together to build, if we can get governments together to build a bridge in 12 days or repair a bridge in 12 days, can we get the same people in the room to figure out how we can purge communities of some of the illegal guns?
Yeah. Anyway, to go to different subjects, since I got you on here, what's the deal with your girl Anita Baker?
Lord,
she got a thing against Baker-Face.
Wait a minute. They need to take her off Twitter, okay? She needs to get off Black Twitter. They already took Dionne Warwick off Black Twitter. She needs to go sit down somewhere. Although I am going to see, I can't call her auntie because she's not old enough to be my auntie, although everybody calls her auntie. I'm going to see her, but Lord have mercy.
So you'll be there at Pine Knob. You'll be there at Pine Knob, right? So let's talk about the important stuff, Anita Baker and Babyface. I would only say to you, whether you are a recording artist, an athlete, a politician, social media, again, has allowed people to have access to information they once upon a time didn't have access to. I would only say to people that because you like their song, because you like the fact the way that they play, the way that they may even govern in some cases, what they do may not be necessarily who they are.
Right.
And so people are getting a peek into people's behavior. What would I say? Anita Baker has always been very outspoken in her opinions. I would only say to you, when you get the rights to your masters, which she has, and she's at a certain age where she doesn't have to make excuses to anybody. If you get to a certain age in life, right, where, when you were younger, you used to navigate around some of the bedazzled things that people would say.
Bull your way through.
Listen, you start to tell people exactly what you think. And, social media, it's good when it's good, but when people come after you like the way they came after her. So let's go back for a second. When Babyface posted, because they were playing the Prudential Center right up the street in New Jersey, he said, look, I'm not going to perform.
Right.
Because of the time schedule. Now, I don't know what I've heard. What I had heard was, you have a window, especially when it's a union theater,
right,
of what time you need to get in there and what time you need to get out. Nobody has been able to tell me, and I've spoken to some people off the record in terms of promoters and people who are really inside the inside game. There were some technical issues which would have shortened his show.
Right.
Now, look, some fans would say, because people go to the show to see two artists, everybody didn't come to see her. Everybody didn't come to see him. But you did buy a ticket to see both. And the key became, what is the real true story behind why he could not get on and off that stage? And Anita Baker may be taking heat for something she should have put on the venue or the sound company for not being able to get his sound or whatever that issue was, because nobody is talking about that issue. They want to blame it on Anita. I would say to you, it may not be Anita's fault.
I heard he sounded better than her. What? So she did an Apollo on him. She hooked him off.
Well, Babyface has a catalog not only of his own records, but the songs he's written for so many other people.
Yes,
for everybody. And people, and I'm gonna tell you, he has really stepped up his game in the last couple of years, because he's one of the kindest, softest spoken people you ever want to talk to or meet. And over the last, probably even pre-COVID, when he decided to come out as a solo artist, his show is fire. He's engaging. He's excited.
He agreed to go with her then.
Well, why not? I mean, I think at this point, especially for I would say mature artists like a Babyface and Anita Baker, there aren't as many venues as they used to be, particularly for the kind of ticket price that they're
Right.
charging to see either one of them. So the two of them on the same show, I thought was a great marriage. Because
I think so too.
He can and has headlined his own tour. He knows that he has a catalog that's bad enough. He can go on the stage with anybody. And just recently, he was on stage with Charlie Wilson, and I wish I could have been there for that
So
show.
how
I know
did
that
Miss
was
Cleo
electric.
get involved?
You talking about, Ada, are you talking about the psychic lady?
I'm talking about Dionne Warwick. She was
right.
involved in
I just brought up this.
And I've been saving a question. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Can I ask
Go
a
ahead.
question?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
And then I have.
I know you have a million things to do in your life, but I've been thinking about something you said. It stuck in my mind for a minute. You made a comment, which I thought was great. You said off Woodward when you were talking about theater. So we know that Detroit has had, the Fisher, and we've had Hamilton, and we've had Jesus Christ Superstar at the Fox, and we've had a few other things. But you sounded to me like you might have had a vision for theater in Detroit, and maybe I'm wrong, but
No, I think, first of all, Detroit, and I don't know what the numbers are, I know what it was pre-COVID, has one of the most robust ticket sales of entertainment of any city in America. So Detroit is a stop, even though the population has changed for the Detroit proper. In the entertainment industry, Detroit is a must stop. But what my reference was as well is the opportunity for not just your off-Broadway productions, but some great work of some individuals like mine who are trying to really engage that community and play some theaters without feeling like they've got to take a mortgage out on their home. Detroit is a wonderful place to be able to explore the arts and theater. And I'm just saying that there needs to be more opportunities, and some great writers and directors that I know that are still living there in the city of Detroit that are just struggling to really take their productions to the next level. So to that, my reference in my head was, I'm excited to be able to come back to Detroit in 2024 and bring my production. I'm that close to be able to almost, locking down a national tour. And I'm excited about that. And Detroit is my, you said what, Adolph?
I say we're looking forward to it.
So with your production, are you going to have people from Detroit in your production? Is your focus on people that live here to star in your production?
Well, let me just say to you, Miss Vanessa, my queen, I actually fly in 3 actors who are from Detroit for my production in Philadelphia. And I've done that 2 or 3 times. So I've done the production I'm doing now, which is Conversations for Sistas Only. 2 of the actors who have done it before are from Detroit, and they were in my productions before I moved to Philadelphia, and just brought on another gentleman who is from Detroit, who's going to be here November 17th and 18th in Philadelphia to perform the show. So there are 9 characters, 7 of them from Philly. When we played Detroit in September, at where were we? We're at the theater in Detroit. And several of them had never been to Detroit. Several of them had never even been out of Philadelphia. Love Detroit. We did the whole Motown tour, the African American Museum. I took them to get some Coney so they understood what a Coney was. So my productions, Vanessa, have included Detroit actors. And my business manager is from Detroit, so she flies back and forth from Detroit every time I do a production. But I will tell you, to go on a national tour, I have to have 2 or 3 big national names. And I'm in conversation right now with those people. And honey, let me just tell you, Adolph, Tim, I'm just saying, they are definitely eye candy and gorgeous, and they are excited to be in the production. I've worked with them before and some other things, and I'm excited to have them in the show. But absolutely in Detroit, those 2 Detroit actors will be in the show.
Okay. All right.
Well, you know what? We're going to have you back on, Frankie Darcell. And we just love the knowledge of that you carry around, whether it's politics, entertainment, etc. You have been there. you've been there for all the most important interviews and stuff, and you still breaking those glass ceilings.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to check out your play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we have to sit. We have to sit in the pit. We have to sit in the pit.
Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't have
go to
all,
Philly.
yeah, all three of you.
But,
I'd absolutely
we're
would
gonna
love
get
to have
back
you.
to you. We're gonna have you on again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Frankie, I have to tell you, I had people call me after you were on the show a few weeks back, and it was like, I love that Frankie Darcell was on the show. When is she coming back? We can't wait for her to come back. So, people love you here in the city of Detroit.
Thank you. And let me say this before I go, and I know you guys are on a time crunch. I said to my daughter, and I think I said this before, when I said, look, we're going to go home for, the holiday. And she said, well, Detroit is my home. She still has a scholarship. Adolph, you've donated to the scholarship. She's in her 7th year. God rest my mother's soul. She did it in the name of my mom, which is Rose's Angel. And she has a private 313 tattoo. She's born and raised in the city of Detroit. I lived there for 23 years. So Detroit is my home. And I still have a number of business opportunities there. So I'm there every other week, and there's a number of relationships I have. So, moving forward, Detroit is always like my second home, more than where I was born and raised. So, to everybody in Detroit, thank you for just, taking Rosa and Herman's daughter and making me your own. People say, did you go to Cat Tech? No, I did not. So I know that Detroit, I just like to just say thank you for the 23 wonderful years that I had in the city of Detroit. My daughter born and raised there, and so it will always be our home.
Well, you still a talk of the town.
Right.
Even though you're not around. Frankie Darcell, author,
thank you guys,
and radio personality, talk show host, and political consultant.
Frankie, make sure you watch next week, because
I'm watching.
Make
all
sure
the
you
time.
watch
I love
next
y'all
week.
show.
Yes. Yep.
We're gonna have Cornell West.
Yeah. What? Oh,
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I will absolutely watch. Just
Well,
be
anyway.
fair and equitable. All right.
Thank you,
guys
Frankie
so much. Have a
Darcell.
wonderful, 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 wonderful Saturday on purpose. You guys be well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do the same.
Thank you. Well, this is we went over a little bit.
Man, you had me cracking up. You call her Cleo. I just said they kicked her off of Black Twitter.
Well,
But she smoking her weed and just
well,
doing whatever.
Anyway, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts, I always like to leave on a positive note. Saturday, the sun isn't shiny, but the temperatures are great. Come out and enjoy the city of Detroit. Monday is the Detroit fireworks. Come down, have fun, behave, right? Behave. And looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Oh, and I want to say thank you. We have somebody in our audience, Tracy Huff, who came down to support us. We had a couple people checking us out as we're filming this show. So thank you so much. Like, subscribe, share. Like, subscribe, share.
Jim, thanks for sitting in for Alan Fauci. No, thanks. I really appreciate it. Your final thought.
I'm just glad to be here. They are big shoes to fill, and I'm glad they let me step in for them for a minute. And
y'all got a festival down there?
Yes, the Trenton Street Festival today's the final day. Or I'm sorry, tomorrow. It's open till midnight tonight. They're going to have music.
That's a nice park down there, right
Where
off
is
the
it?
river.
Right on West Jefferson.
Oh, okay.
All day today. They had a good band last night. I guess the Verb Pipe, who was a pretty popular band back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. Not sure who's there tonight. And then until about 6 tomorrow, I think. Get down there if you get a chance. It's a really nice festival.
Okay.
And I want to thank Eric Sabree, the treasurer of Wayne County. He has great programs. He speaks softly, but carry a big stick. He's keeping people in their homes. And he's not trying to take them. They got all kind of programs. And I'm glad that he comes on once a month or so to tell us about the program. I want to thank Frankie Darcell. I
And
gotta
the
have a
owner,
bag.
right, the owner of McShane's.
And,
We got to
and
give a
Bob-
shout out to
and Bob
McShane's.
Roberts, the owner of McShane's. You know, McShane's is like my own personal bar. And I don't have liquor at home. I can just walk right down the street. I'm at home. They know my name.
Well, they sure work with you.
And Henry Madman.
Yes.
Listen, this guy, you know, he's obnoxious and he's all kind of names I can't say. Can't
But
say
he's a
those
great
names,
guy.
But he is. He helped get us Cornell West for next week.
Yeah.
And you know, and that should be that should be a hot one.
Yes,
Okay.
it should be.
Be back next week.
All right.
Detroit in black and white.
Peace. Yeah, I wasn't worried about it.
Yeah.
Oh, we off, right?
Yeah.
It says live.
We still on.